Good morning students, welcome to the 5th online class of Social Studies. Today we are going to study the last topic of our lesson, need to preserve the sources. What is the topic? Need to preserve the sources. Before that, just we discuss what we learned in previous two classes. Okay, we study about the sources of history. What are the sources of history? Sources of history classified into three: archaeological sources, literary sources and oral sources. What is the archaeological sources? That is the old building which have historical importance. It includes monuments, inscriptions, coins, artifacts. And the second point, literary. Literary source, two types. They are religious sources and secular. Literary sources, religious literature and secular literature. And third one, oral sources, that is folk tales and stories. What are the oral sources? Information about the past that we get from talking of people about their experience. Like folk tales, stories are the example of oral sources. And the next one, archaeologist. Who is an archaeologist? An archaeologist is a person who is an expert in digging and studying remains of the past. This archaeologist. And the next, historians. Who is a historians? Historians is a person who is studying and write about the past and is considered an authority on it, is known as historians. Okay, that only we discussed in last two classes. I hope you all understood. And today we are going to study the next topic, need to preserve the sources. It is very important to preserve the sources. What is the meaning of preserve? The meaning of preserve. To keep something in good condition. To keep something in good condition. Good condition. Or the way it was, or the way it was in the beginning. This is the meaning of preserve. To keep something in good condition or the way it was in the beginning. That is the meaning of preserve. Source of history are the documents or text in various forms. Special care should be taken to preserve these. Okay, source of history are the documents or text in various forms. We know different sources. Which are the sources? Archaeological sources, literary sources, oral sources. So, source of history are the documents or text in various forms. So, special care should be taken to preserve these. Once we lost them, we cannot never get them back. If it is lost once means lost. We can't get it back. So, historians. Historians, you know who is a historians? A person who studies and write about the past and considered an authority on it is known as historian. So, historians should ensure that all types of literature and preserved in the best possible way. How can keep it in best possible way? Archaeologists should take extreme care in digging out the artifacts. So when they have also give extreme care in digging out the artifacts. It is important to preserve these sources. You know why? This is because of the following reasons. Okay. because of the following reasons. Our knowledge of the past is depend on the source of history. Our knowledge of the past, how we are getting the past knowledge, it is depend on the source of history. Without the source, we cannot understand the past. So these sources are our link to the past. Much of our information about the past will be lost forever if we do not take care of the sources. Once it lost means we can't get it back. These sources are our link to the past. Much of our information about the past will be lost forever if we do not take care of the sources. So that is the first reason. Our knowledge of the past is depend on the source of history. So second reason, source of history help us to appreciate our past. Now we know about our past. Source of history, how we are getting this? Because of the source of history help us to appreciate our past. We feel a sense of pride when we look at the Qutub Minar, the Meenakshi temple and so on. Have you seen? Okay, we feel a sense of pride when we look at the Qutub Minar and the Meenakshi temple and so on. A museum is a place where archaeological sources such as coins, artifacts and inscriptions are preserved, where it is kept. A museum is a place where archaeological sources such as, what are the archaeological sources? Now you know that coins, artifacts, inscriptions, these are archaeological sources that is preserved. You know what is the meaning of museum? Meaning of museum. See, a museum is a place where archaeological sources such as coins, artifacts and inscriptions are preserved. See, museum means a building in which valuable and interesting objects are kept to be seen by the public. By the public. See the meaning of museum. Have you seen the museum? Museum meaning a building in valuable and interesting object. Whatever the sources that is very valuable and interesting objects are kept to be seen by the public. That is museum. A museum is a place where archaeological sources, now you know what are the archaeological sources. Monuments, coins, artifacts and inscriptions are preserved. Some museums also preserve important and rare books. Okay, some museums are also preserved. What is the meaning of preserve? To keep something in good condition or the way it was in the beginning. Some museums are also preserve important and rare books. Our government protects historical monuments. Okay, historical monuments, example, airport, Taj Mahal, etc. It also helps archaeologists and historians to preserve the sources. So the archaeologists and historians, it also help to preserve the sources. So the sources are kept in a secured way at places like the museums and the National Archives of India, New Delhi. So this is what are the needs to preserve the sources? It is important to preserve these sources because of the following reasons. Our knowledge of the past is depend on the sources of history. Without the sources, we cannot understand the past. Without the sources, if we are not seeing this, we don't know about the past. So without the sources, we cannot understand the past. These sources are our links to the past. Much of our information about the past will be lost forever if we do not take care of the sources. We are not taking care of these things, it will lost. It will not get it back. So sources of history and also sources of history help us to appreciate our past. We feel a sense of pride when we look at the Qutub Minar, the Meenakshi temple and so on. So where it is kept, the sources are kept in secured way at their places like the museums and the National Archives of India, New Delhi. So children, we have completed our second lesson, the source of history. What are the sources of history? The history is the study of the past. That is the based study on source of history. The clues are the source of history. So the source of history classified into three: archaeological sources, literary sources, and oral sources. Archaeological sources include monuments, inscriptions, coins, artifacts. That are the archaeological sources. Monuments are the older building which have historical importance. Inscriptions are the written message. Then coins. Coins are the most important source of history. The information of coins, give information about the kings and queens. And artifacts. Artifacts are the man-made objects. For example, jewelry, textile, tools, toys, etc. And the literary sources, that is two types: religious literature and secular literature. Religious literature deals with the religious, and secular literature does not base in the base of religious. That is two types of literary sources: religious literature and secular literature. Next, oral sources. Oral sources are information about the past that we get from the talking of people about their experience. For example, folk tales, stories, etc. And the archaeologist. Archaeologist. Who is an archaeologist? Who is an archaeologist? An archaeologist is a person who is expert in digging and studying remains of the past. And the historians. Who is an historian? A person who studies and write about the past and is considered an authority on it is known as historians. And today's topic, need to preserve the sources. What is the need to preserve the sources? And two meaning are given. Preserve means what? To keep something in good condition or the way it was in the beginning. It's the meaning of preserve. Why we should keep it? Preserve means to keep something in good condition or the way it was in the beginning. And the where it kept these old sources. Okay. Archaeological sources, literary sources, these all where it keep. Museums. Museum, a building in valuable and interesting object are kept in to be seen by the public. We can see, we have visited a museum, a building in a valuable and interesting object are kept to be seen by the public. Why we need to preserve the sources? Why we need to preserve the sources? We should, the following reasons are there. Our knowledge of the past is depend on the source of history. Without the sources, we cannot understand the past. So these sources are our link to the past. Then source of history help us to appreciate our past. So a museum is a place. A museum is a place where archaeological sources such as coins, artifacts and inscriptions are preserved. Now we are going to the book exercise. There are 5 questions for name them. Read and answer, name them. First question, special building from the past. What is the answer? Special building from the past, that is monuments. M-O-N-U-M-E-N-T-S. You can write with pencil in your book. Don't use the pen for writing the answer in your book. Monuments. And second answer, writing done on rocks, clay, tablets, stones or metals. What is that? Answer is inscriptions. Inscriptions. And third one, pottery, jewelry, tools. Pottery, jewelry, tools are artifacts. Artifacts. And next, books written by rulers about their own life. That is autobiography. Autobiographies. And next, people who study both archaeological and literary sources. That is historians. 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 Okay, you can copy this answer. You have to write with a pencil. Fill in the blanks. Coins, inscriptions, monuments are dash as some archaeological sources. What are these? Coins, inscriptions, monuments and dash. One is missing, that is artifact. Artifacts are some archaeological sources. Long ago, people wrote on dry dash. There was no paper, so people were used palm leaves. Palm leaves. Next, the Vedas and the Puranas are which book? Religious books. Religious books. Next, dash dig deep into the ground to find archaeological sources. Archaeologist. Archaeologist. Archaeologists dig deep into the ground to find archaeological sources. And the fifth question, sources help us to know the past. Sources help us to know the past. So what we have to do? We must preserve them. We must preserve them. And the first answer is artifact, second palm, third religious, the fourth one archaeologist, fifth one preserve. Then we are going to answer this question. First two answers I already given. What do monuments tell us? Write in 2 points. List 3 points to show that coins are an important source of history. I hope you all completed that both answer. Next, if you don't have the class 4 copy, you can write your rough copy. Okay. And third answer, what are artifacts? Answer 3. What are the artifacts? What are the artifacts? Already the answer is in the book. Artifacts. Artifacts are things that people made. People made and used in their daily life. Daily life. This is answer 3. Artifacts are things that people made and used in their daily life. Now answer 4. Answer question 4. Write about any one type of literary source. Write about any one type. One type only asking. There are 2 types, literary sources and religious sources. Write about any one type of literary source or religious books. You have to write the heading religious books. Religious books. You have to write the heading religious books. Then the Vedas, the Puranas, Puranas and the Bhagavats. Bhagavad Gita are some religious books. Religious books. They tell us about the beliefs and customs of people who lived in the past. First answer for religious books. The Vedas, the Puranas and the Bhagavad Gita are some religious books. They tell us about the beliefs and customs of people who lived in the past. 10. Question number 5. Why should we preserve the source of history? Why should we preserve the source of history? We should preserve the sources. We should preserve the sources of history. The sources of history because our knowledge of the past is depending on the sources of history, and it helps us to appreciate our past. So this is answer. Question number 3. What are artifacts? Artifacts are things that people made and used in their daily life. Question number 4. Write about any one type of literary source. Anyone is asking. So religious books. The Vedas, the Puranas and the Bhagavad Gita are some religious books. They tell us about the beliefs and customs of people who lived in the past. And question number 5. Why should we preserve the source of history? We should preserve the sources of history because our knowledge of the past is dependent on the sources of history, and it helps us to appreciate our past. So students, you have to write all these answers in your copy. I already told, if you don't have the copy, you use any rough copy and copy the answer and learn it well. So our second chapter is also finished. How to study the answer, and the next class we will discuss the new lesson. Okay, thank you.